Like a rare vintage, time doesn't just pass over the Sigma male, it collaborates with him. While most men dread aging, studies suggest that over 60% peak in their 20s, only to watch their influence fade year after year. But the Sigma male is different. He doesn't wither. He sharpens. He doesn't chase after youth. Youth eventually comes back, curious about how he outmaneuvered the clock. The truth is, the Sigma male doesn't age in the usual sense. He matures like wine, distilling every scar, every betrayal, and every silent midnight into something stronger and more compelling. By the time the world notices, he's already 10 steps deeper, richer, sharper, and impossible to forget. And while others obsess over wrinkles and fading hairlines, the Sigma is likely sipping his coffee, thinking, if I keep improving with age, people might need a license just to handle me. This is the wine effect, the hidden transformation every Sigma undergoes. Not in the spotlight of youth, but in the quiet shadows of time. And once you understand it, you'll see why he doesn't just grow older, he becomes unforgettable. Number 1, addictive in retrospect. Most people don't recognize the value of a Sigma male when he's standing right in front of them. He doesn't demand attention, flaunt his worth, or beg for recognition. Instead, he blends in, quiet, unassuming, almost too easy to overlook. That's why people often underestimate him, dismissing him as ordinary. But the truth is, a Sigma's impact doesn't strike instantly. It lingers. It builds. It returns long after he's gone, until people realize he's the one they can't forget. Unlike the sweet, surface-level personalities that charm instantly, the Sigma is layered and complex. He takes time to unfold. He doesn't reveal everything at once, leaving behind mysteries that gnaw at the mind like unfinished business. People convince themselves he didn't matter, but the thought of him resurfaces when least expected. His unforgettable nature isn't only about what he does, it's about what he refuses to do. He doesn't chase. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't beg for validation. That absence of neediness burns into people's memories in a world starved for attention. And when they compare him to the clingy, the predictable, and the overexposed, his quiet restraint makes him stand out even more. But by the time they finally recognize his worth, it's too late. He's already moved on, already vanished into silence, already living by his own rules. That's what makes him addictive in hindsight. You only understand how extraordinary he was once he's no longer there. And unlike others, Sigma males don't return once they leave. That delayed recognition, the haunting aftertaste, is the purest expression of the wine effect. His value only deepens with time and distance. He doesn't just pass through your life. He lingers in your mind, resurfacing again and again, until you realize how rare he truly was. Number 2, their past enriches, it never expires. For most men, the past is a weight to escape from, a spoiled memory they'd rather throw away. But for the Sigma male, the past isn't something to bury. It's something to refine. He carries it not as a burden, but as a collection of flavors that grow richer with time. Every chapter leaves a mark, the friendships that revealed loyalty and betrayal, the heartbreaks that hardened his resolve, the failures that sharpened his focus. Nothing is wasted. Pain doesn't decay into regret, it ferments into wisdom. Success doesn't fade into nostalgia, it stays alive as a reminder of possibility. Even mistakes don't rot into shame, they transform into reference points, quietly steering his next move. That's why he often feels unshakable. He isn't running from his past, he's armored by it. Most men replay their failures with bitterness. The Sigma extracts the lesson, keeps the strength, and discards the rest. This process gives him a layered presence, people sense his history, but instead of weighing him down, it deepens him. It makes him harder to fool, harder to manipulate, and nearly impossible to replace. And here's the edge, he doesn't deny what he's lived through. He's endured disappointment, betrayal, and collapse, but he's never stayed broken. Every scar becomes a mark of resilience, every setback an extra layer of unpredictability. While time washes other men clean, the Sigma becomes textured, compounded by experience. The longer you know him, the more you realize he's bottomless, carrying decades of lessons, stories, and strength within him. He doesn't expire with age. He compounds. That's why he feels endlessly deep, and why once you've crossed paths with him, forgetting him is impossible. Number 3, they are rare because they refuse mass production. Sigma males stand out not because they're trying to be different, but because they refuse to be manufactured into replicas of everyone else. Most men twist themselves into social molds, parroting safe opinions, chasing trends, or polishing an image that earns quick approval. They mass-produce their personalities like cheap wine bottled in bulk, predictable, shallow, and easy to consume. But the Sigma male rejects that assembly line. He doesn't dilute himself to fit the taste of the crowd, nor does he compromise his core for acceptance. His rarity comes from being handcrafted by experience, not culture's conveyor belt. Every decision, every scar, every triumph forges him in a way no formula could ever replicate. There's no template, no shortcut, no copy-and-paste method to becoming one. You can imitate an alpha's confidence or a beta submission, but you cannot fake the depth that comes from years of carving your own path against resistance. That's why true sigmas are so rare. Most men chase belonging, not authenticity. They would rather be accepted cheaply than stand alone honestly. But a sigma male would rather walk in solitude, underestimated and misunderstood, than sell himself short just to fit in. That choice alone puts him in a separate category, scarce, rare, and increasingly valuable with time. Like rare wine, his scarcity isn't a performance or branding trick. It's simply the byproduct of refusing to compromise. That authenticity makes him irreplaceable. People may try to mimic his silence or his style, but without the substance, it collapses into emptiness. You can mass-produce bravado or charm, but you cannot mass-produce authenticity. This is why the sigma male becomes more sought after as time passes. In a world of copy-paste personalities, he proves that the unreplicated still exists. He is rare, not because he tries to be, but because mass production was never an option. That refusal to be diluted is what makes him both intimidating and unforgettable. He is not a personality you can manufacture. He is an encounter you cannot forget. Number 4, their appeal is time-delayed, not instant. Sigma males don't dazzle you with instant fireworks. They're not the loudest voice in the room, not the man performing with quick charm or inflated confidence. In fact, many people dismiss them at first, assuming there's nothing extraordinary there. That's because their appeal isn't designed for instant consumption. It's slow, layered, and steady. They're the kind of men you only begin to notice once the noise of others dies down. By then, their presence is already slipping under your skin, quietly reshaping the way you see them. This delayed effect separates them from flashy personalities who burn bright but brief. The ones who rely on shock value, exaggerated confidence, or borrowed attention draw crowds quickly, but collapse under predictability. A sigma doesn't play that game. He doesn't reveal everything at once. Instead, he unfolds in fragments, through subtle actions, rare insights, or quiet displays of strength when others falter. Each encounter adds a new layer, pulling you deeper into curiosity. People often ask themselves, how did I overlook him? How did I miss that calm confidence? That sharpness under the quiet? That slow burn is addictive. By the time you realize the full picture, he has already carved a place in your mind without trying. His appeal also lasts longer because it isn't built on gimmicks. It's rooted in authenticity, and authenticity doesn't expire. The very qualities that once seemed understated, his restraint, independence, and silence, grow more magnetic with time. Unlike others who exhaust their charm quickly, the sigma only becomes more interesting, like a story you never finish reading. That's why people often circle back to him, even after ignoring him at first. At the beginning, he may not stand out. But with distance and reflection, he becomes unforgettable. That delayed recognition is powerful because his value doesn't fade, it compounds. And when people finally see it, the question always follows, how did I ever overlook him? Number 5, they reject cheap pairings. Sigma males refuse shallow company, no matter how easy or tempting it may seem. They've learned that surrounding themselves with mediocrity is the fastest way to weaken their own energy, so they cut it off at the root. Just as fine wine doesn't pair with junk food, they know their presence doesn't belong next to people who lack depth, discipline, or authenticity. For them, the wrong company is more dangerous than solitude. That's why they don't compromise their standards just to avoid being alone. To outsiders, this can make them seem cold, selective, or even antisocial, but the truth is, it's about preservation. They've seen how quickly the wrong crowd can drain focus, derail purpose, or infect ambition. While others collect acquaintances for convenience or keep hollow friendships for status, the sigma operates differently. He doesn't need filler companions, fake allies, or relationships built on temporary thrills. If the connection isn't genuine, if it doesn't carry weight, he walks away without hesitation. This isn't arrogance. Sigma males don't believe they're too good for others, they simply understand that energy is limited, and wasting it on the wrong people is self-sabotage. They guard their inner circle ruthlessly because they know mediocrity spreads like a disease. Spend enough time with people who lack vision, integrity, or drive, and you'll eventually start lowering your own standards. A sigma refuses that risk. By rejecting cheap pairings, they protect their quality. Their silence stays sharp because it isn't drowned in noise. Their insights carry weight because they aren't watered down by echo chambers. Their presence feels rare because it isn't scattered across dozens of meaningless connections. This makes the relationships they do keep powerful, selective, deep, and life-changing for the few who earn them. The irony is that this scarcity makes them even more sought after. In a world where most people hand themselves out too easily, the Sigma's refusal raises his value. His attention feels precious because it isn't given freely. If he allows someone close, it's because they've proven themselves, not because he was desperate for company. That's the essence of rejecting cheap pairings. He would rather guard his energy and stand alone than waste himself on mediocrity. Over time, that choice makes him the one thing modern society can't replicate: untouchable, unbought, and undiluted. Number 6, they age into dangerous calmness. Most men grow restless as they age. Some grow bitter, clinging to what they've lost. Others grow insecure, scrambling to prove they still matter. But Sigma males evolve differently. The older they get, the calmer they become, so calm it unsettles those around them. It's not the calm of resignation, but the sharp calm of someone who no longer fears loss. And that makes it dangerous, because nothing destabilizes people more than facing a man who cannot be rattled. This composure is not accidental, it's earned. Sigma males have weathered storms alone. They've been betrayed, abandoned, underestimated, and broken. And yet, they kept moving. Each trial taught them a lesson most men never learn: panic changes nothing. By the time they reach maturity, this truth is etched into their bones. Where others shake, they remain steady. Where others cling, they release. That poise intimidates because it makes them untouchable. You can't bait them into chaos. You can't shake them with drama. You can't threaten them with loss, because they've already made peace with it. He doesn't fear losing a job, a relationship, or even an entire circle of people. He's already proven to himself that his survival was never dependent on any of it. This absence of fear creates a gravity around him. His silences feel heavier. His pauses carry weight. His choices seem colder, not because he lacks feeling, but because he refuses to cling the way others do. That unnerves people who are still desperate for validation, approval, or control. When a Sigma male enters a room with that dangerous calmness, the entire dynamic shifts. His composure highlights everyone else's instability. His restraint exposes their restlessness. And his indifference to fear disarms those who rely on manipulation. A Sigma doesn't grow weaker with age. He grows sharper, steadier, and more unshakable. His calm isn't the end of his fire, it's the fire under control. The mark of a man who has already faced storms and realized he cannot be broken. Number 7, they transform pain into power. Sigma males don't allow pain to fester or poison their spirit. Where most men let betrayal, heartbreak, or failure erode their confidence, Sigmas treat those wounds as raw material. They run their suffering through a quiet inner alchemy, turning every setback into resilience, every disappointment into wisdom, and every humiliation into fuel. Nothing is left to rot inside them. Instead, it ferments into something potent: strength, authority, and depth that can't be imitated. This process is silent. They don't broadcast their scars for pity, nor do they boast about survival. They process privately while others assume they've simply moved on. But the truth is far sharper: they don't just move on, they transform. By the time life throws another storm, the very pain meant to break them has become armor. Most men numb pain, deny it, or let it define them. Sigma males refuse all three. They extract the lessons, absorb the sting, and then rebuild themselves stronger. That's why they remain calm in situations that paralyze others. They know they've already survived worse. And that knowledge makes them formidable. Every betrayal sharpens their ability to read people. Every humiliation trains them to stop depending on outside validation. Every failure becomes proof of resilience. They don't waste pain, they recycle it. And it shows. Their presence communicates quiet authority without words. They are living proof that pain, when properly processed, doesn't weaken, it refines. Number 8, they are never experienced the same way twice. A Sigma male cannot be neatly categorized. People try: quiet, mysterious, detached, but none of those labels capture the full truth. With each encounter, a different side surfaces. Sometimes he is humorous, sometimes sharp, sometimes silent. Like a fine wine that shifts depending on the drinker's palate, his essence adapts to the energy in front of him. This doesn't make him fake, it makes him layered. No single impression captures the whole picture. One person may dismiss him as cold, while another sees warmth and wit. Both are right, but neither has the complete view. That's the Sigma paradox: he isn't one note, and he refuses to flatten himself for approval. While most people pick a character to present consistently, Sigma males resist that performance. They don't mind being misunderstood because they're not performing for the crowd. This unpredictability makes people replay conversations, analyze his silence, and wonder if they ever truly saw him, or only scratched the surface. That mystery isn't an act. It's the reality of someone who refuses to dilute himself. A Sigma is never just one thing. And that's why he is never experienced the same way twice. Number 9. They refuse to be consumed too early. Where most men rush to be seen, validated, and celebrated, Sigma males hold back. They don't burn themselves out by oversharing or overperforming too soon. Instead, they preserve their essence with discipline, understanding a timeless truth: what is revealed too quickly is often discarded just as quickly. They know that showing all your cards makes you predictable, and pouring yourself out before your value has matured makes you disposable. So they remain restrained, patient, and mysterious. People often misinterpret this as arrogance or aloofness. But it's not distance for its own sake, it's protection. When a Sigma finally does open up, the impact is profound. His silence wasn't emptiness, it was storage. Everything he withheld has been maturing, growing sharper, and becoming more powerful with time. That delayed reveal hits harder than constant noise ever could. By refusing to be consumed too early, Sigmas avoid being wasted prematurely. They would rather be underestimated now than exhausted later. Patience preserves their strength, and when the right moment arrives, their presence carries weight that cannot be ignored. Number 10. They become harder to replace with age. Most people grow predictable with time. They settle into routines, conform, and lose the sharp edges that once made them unique. But Sigma males move in the opposite direction. Each year, their scars, lessons, and independence stack, layering into something that cannot be replicated. This is why they become harder to replace as they age. While others dilute themselves, the Sigma refines himself. He doesn't chase trends or validation, so the qualities that once seemed overlooked in youth become rare with maturity. By the time others finally recognize his value, it's often too late. The scarcity of someone like him becomes painfully clear, but he no longer needs their recognition. He didn't seek to be rare, he became rare by refusing to compromise. And time only multiplies that rarity. The Sigma male doesn't just age, he evolves into something irreplaceable. Final words. Like rare wine, the Sigma male improves with time. He matures into calmness instead of bitterness, transforms pain into power, and builds connections that outlast shallow pairings. His energy isn't wasted on the noise of the crowd, it endures, becoming magnetic the longer life tests him. Where others burn out, he endures. Where others crumble in loneliness, he thrives. Where others dilute themselves, he grows rare. And that's why, when the noise fades, the Sigma is the one who still matters. If this resonated, don't just scroll away, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and drop your perspective in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to understand the Sigma mindset. Your support helps this community grow, and together, we'll keep uncovering truths the world overlooks.